Hello! This tutorial gives an overview of the MyCalendarAlerts web app. You can use the app to receive automated text or email alerts for all your business or personal calendar events. You'll be able to manage your schedule and keep on time with less work. Currently, we're offering all users beta test mode, which is set for now to my favorite price, free! As you can see from the agenda, you'll receive an overview of the app, learn how to create your free account, modify and add alert policies, modify and add contacts, configure your account, set your time zone, and sync your calendar. So let's get started. First, let's go to the Calendar Alerts website and into the Help section. Here you'll find details of the app's features and account setup. As you can see, you'll configure the app with a sync URL to your favorite online calendar such as Airbnb, Yahoo, or Google. It'll accept just about any online calendar that enables syncing. Although setting up syncing with your calendar is fairly simple, it's the most likely spot to get tripped up on, so Help provides some extra details. After creating the account, you'll configure alert policies which determine when your alerts will be sent. You'll then configure the contacts you want subscribed to those alert policies in order to receive alert texts or emails. When adding contacts, you'll learn a way to enable free SMS texting using email to text addresses. This too needs a little bit of extra attention. Besides the care needed for finding your calendar's sync URL and the contact's email to text addresses, the rest of the procedure is fairly straightforward. Get ready for your alerts to be live and saving you time. Okay, so let's create the free account. At the top, you can see the link to create the account. As you can see, you're required to put in a beta code. But since the site is temporarily open up to all, a public beta code is conveniently provided here. Just copy-paste the code, click on Agree, and press Submit Code. You'll now see the screen to enter your account information. Fill out your personal information to provide a login ID and password. You'll also need to provide a valid mobile phone and email address. The birth date is a required field, so please add that as well. Once all your info is entered and no errors reported, press Create Account. Upon submitting, the app will help you get started by creating sample policies and a contact with your personal information. If you immediately navigate to links for upcoming events or scheduled alerts, they may be empty at first, but because the app initializes your configuration with an example calendar URL and policies, they should populate within a minute. Let's look at the default settings provided. Click Alert Policies and Contacts to see the added sample records. Now we'll click on the policy with the word Today in the title. Look at how it's configured. Note that it'll cause the app to send alert on the first day of each event at 10 a.m. So for every event in your calendar, you'll automatically receive an alert at 10 a.m. For example, if this were an Airbnb calendar, you would receive an alert at 10 a.m. on the first day of each guest's arrival. Now let's click on the policy with Tomorrow in the title. Note the description. This policy is configured to send alert one day before the start of each event at 5:30 p.m. So for Airbnb, the evening before a guest arrives. Thinking in terms of rental properties, I will change this policy to fire on the last day or end of the event, meaning when a guest departs from a property. To change this policy, I will set the title to Guest Leaving Today. Next, change the relative days to 0, which means on the day of, and I will change from the start to the end. Now, instead of firing alerts on the day before arrival, they will fire on the day of departure for each guest. I will finally change the time to fire at 9 a.m. the morning the guest departs. Then press Save Policy and look at the new description generated, which shows this policy will send alert on the last day of each event at 9 a.m. We will soon create a contact for my cleaner to receive this alert as well. Now let's go back and click on the default contact. You'll see the contact information you gave creating the account. Notice that you were automatically subscribed to the 2 sample policies, indicated by the check mark next to each policy. However, to receive free SMS texts, you'll need to select your cell service provider. Let's assume your provider is AT&T, so we will select them from the drop-down list and press Save Contact. Now let's add another contact for the cleaner. At the top, click the link to Add Contact. Again, if you wish for them to receive free SMS texts, you'll need to provide a valid mobile phone number and then select the contact's email to text address. All contacts will of course need to first provide you with their cell number and cell service provider. For this example, we will assume the contact uses Sprint PCS, so we select that cell service provider and email to text address. Finally, I will subscribe the cleaner to the policy for the guest leaving and then press Save Contact. After saving, assuming the cell number and provider information are correct, you can press the Send Calendar button to test this feature and ensure the contact receives a text. Let's now go to Scheduled Alerts. You should be able to see the scheduled alerts that were generated, including alerts for the modified policy. This list depends not only on the calendar URL, but also having at least one alert policy which both exist in this example. These generated alerts were thus based on the sample calendar and policies that are applied to the calendar events. Notice all the alerts are in date order. For the sake of time, I will challenge you to examine the first scheduled alert, then examine the associated policy and event to figure out how and why this event was generated. You may first need to go to Help on the section of the alert policies to get an understanding of the various fields for days relative before or after the start or end of an event to understand how the dates were generated. In general, the number of generated scheduled alerts will be the number of events times the number of policies. Also note that if you change a policy, it'll cause the scheduled alerts to be regenerated. Another exercise I will leave for you to try. To complete the setup, you'll need to modify the configuration setup, so let's now go to the account configuration by clicking on the configuration setup link at the top. There are really only two mandatory fields that need special attention here, as the rest are optional. The first is simple, the time zone. Set it to your location or your alerts will not be received at the correct time. The next field is the most important and the most easy to confuse. It's the calendar download URL for syncing your calendar to this app. This field is initialized with a test calendar URL, which is only for demonstration purposes. You'll need to read the instructions in the help section on how to get the URL for your calendar to replace this demo URL. So let's return to help to talk more about this calendar sync URL. In Account Configuration section, step number 2, you'll see links for instructions how to get the calendar sync URL for various popular calendars. Although you can follow one of those links, we've expanded those procedures with images. Under the section Other Things to Note, click on the link in the last bullet that says Help section for calendar sync URLs. Let's go to the section for Google Calendars and follow that example to get a feel for it. First, you'll navigate to your Google Calendar using the test calendar in this example, then navigate to the section My Calendars on the left-hand side. Hover the mouse over the right side of the calendar and click on the vertical ellipses for the pop-up menu and click on Settings and Sharing. Click on Access Permissions and make note if this calendar was made public. By default, this is not checked, so it's considered secret. On the left, click on Integrate Calendar and right-click Copy on the proper URL depending if this is public or secret. Before pasting to your Calendar Alerts configuration settings, it's a good idea to test this is the correct URL. This can be done by first pasting the URL in your browser's address bar and pressing Enter to download the Calendar ICS file. Open this file and ensure the first line shows Begin v Calendar to confirm you have the proper URL. Once confirmed, go back to Configuration and paste the URL in the Calendar Download URL field and then press Save. It may take about a minute for Calendar Alerts and Scheduled Alerts to reflect the new calendar, but once it does, you'll be set. To get more familiar with how the app works and gain confidence you have everything set up correctly, I will walk you through the steps on how to run an alert test. We will do this by creating a test policy relative to the next scheduled event to quickly generate and send an alert. We start off by navigating to the upcoming events. From here, make note of the start date of the first event and how many days that date is into the future. So I'm making note of this start date. Now let's click on the Add Alert Policy link at the top. We'll set the title to Test Policy. From the calculation of the days till the next event we just made, we will configure the policy's relative days field to that number of days, then set the relative before or after field to before. Looking at the time at the top of the page, set the time of days to send alert field so it'll send about 3 to 5 minutes in the future. Make sure you properly set AM or PM correctly, and then press Save. Now, navigate to the Alert, Policies, and Contacts. Find the policy we just created and note the policy description that has been generated which matches your settings. Now go to your contact and click the check mark next to that policy to subscribe to it so you'll receive the email and text alerts. Subscribing to the policy and having text and email alerts enabled for a contact are all essential for the test to work. Now navigate to the scheduled alerts and you'll see this alert has been generated. However, note that it'll show up even if no contact is subscribed, so if the alert does not come, you'll need to recheck your steps. When the time arrives, assuming you're subscribed and the email and cell info are correct, you should receive an email and text alert. Once you're done testing, you should go back to your contact and unsubscribe from that test policy, so you won't receive unwanted alerts for the other upcoming events. That's it. You're now set and ready to enjoy the time savings you have created with the MyCalendarAlerts. There are other features, so explore help in the various records to see what other options are available. Best of luck to you, and please let us know if you have any comments. Thank you.